Alright, hello everyone, welcome to Lucky Larsen 2024, the youth squad. My name is Robert Anderson and I'm here with
Martin Blixt, sponsor of this squad.
Yes, so to introduce ourselves, we are two former national team players from Sweden. I am now the head coach for the national team. Martin has maybe retired a little bit from the bowling himself, but
I have retired from my own game, but I'm still involved emotionally in bowling always.
That's very nice. And just to make Martin Larsen played on the same team as us, and also Patrick, who owns the bowling center. We played the World Championship together in 2003, so we have a long history together.
Yes, we do.
But now we are here to try to guide you guys through the youth squad, and we're going to do some commentary here on game 1, game 3, game 5 and game 6. To talk you through the tournament a little bit, how it looks on the youth side and what we can see while the guys are bowling. And we're mainly going to focus on the lanes 9 to 12. Martin, this is your home center, so you probably know more about it than I do.
Hopefully, as I said, I retired from bowling 6 years ago now, but the characteristic of the center is the same, and I'm sure we will see some. There will be some difficulties when changing lanes here because they are not identical. Especially not this. We'll see.
Alright, so they're off. So we started the commentary a little bit after the practice. We had some technical issues too, so we are about 30 minutes late. But the pattern is a 42 feet pattern with 33 mils of oil, so a little bit more oil than we used to see. And this is the home center of an elite team in Sweden. I've bowled here quite a few times, and it's always been known for not hooking too much if you send it to the right.
No, definitely not.
So the pattern is also fairly flat. The ratio is 2, so it would consider very much a sport pattern.
Yeah, I think it will be challenging especially for the U21 squad due to the fact that they're probably not used to bowl on such tough patterns, and if you throw the ball right, it's out of bounds very often.
Mm-hmm. So we saw some scores from yesterday.
Yeah, we did, and the first squad was not, I would say, not fair, to be honest. I mean, the scores was fair, but it was the really good bowlers were the lefties, and we saw in the second squad a more. We saw that the right-handers could strike just as well as the others, and the guy who won the second squad is, I would say, one of Sweden's most experienced tournament bowlers.
Yes, for sure. Peter Hellström also played in the national team.
Yes,
and now, for the first time, he has a chance for the plus 50. But he also probably bowls among the most tournament games in Sweden.
Yeah, definitely. He is everywhere.
But he was also, I was talking to him, he said that he felt the friction more than he thought the first game, but he made a mistake of moving to the left too quickly. So the second block he was bowling a little bit harder, straighter, just inside of the first arrow. And he said if it hooks too much, maybe he would just not give it that much hand. And I felt this doesn't sound like a youth solution.
No, and we should mention probably that Peter is a traditional bowler. He's not super high rev. He bowls with his thumb, and he is very accurate. He is, he can really split hairs.
So introducing some bowlers that we can see in front of us. This is Kevin Melin. He won on the European Tour for the first time in San Marino. Interesting fact there is that he bowled backup when he was winning. He is bowling on the same pair as Noel Torgersen. For people who know a little bit about bowling, the last name is known. His father is one of Norway's. He is Norway's best bowler.
He is Norway's best bowler,
for sure. And he's also been on the PBA tour.
Yeah.
And this is his son, also known for being able to bowl backup, which he's doing right now.
Yeah, and his mother is Linda Haglund. She bowled for the Swedish national team for many years back in the days when I was also in the national team. So yeah, the pedigree is
good bowling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I must say, I think he bowled really good. I mean, technically, it's so smooth. It's enjoyable to watch him bowl.
He's gonna see him now. So he's for sure using his backup. Lova Nilsson is bowling now on lane 10. She's in the youth team for Sweden. She bowled the first time in Helsinki earlier this year. And on the next pair of lanes, Zacharias Lindqvist is bowling for Pergamon and was close to the national team last year. He's also under 21 group for the national team. Nicola Iris is also in our youth team, under 21. She was just in Korea about a month ago. So it's fun to see that this squad is attracting a lot of people.
Definitely, and she's also from a bowling family.
Yes.
So it's.
We're starting to, at least I start to feel like I know more people's parents than the actual bowler.
Yeah. But that's one of the fun things with bowling. If you have been involved in bowling a long time, you have friends all over the world, and now you start to see the kids of your former competitors.
Zacharias is bowling a bit straighter and harder from the right side. Do you think they have been watching the scores from yesterday before they made up a game plan?
Hopefully, I'd say from the practice session, I'm sure some has, and some probably think that they will try their A game and just hope.
Yeah.
But that's typical for under 21, I think.
It's pretty huge deal for us that we can have one of these big tournaments in Sweden. The only PBA stop outside of the US.
Yeah, it's very cool, and I know how much work is behind to arrange such a tournament. I know Patrick very well, and I know Martin as well, and I know that they have been working night and day since the last tournament, more or less. Too quick a little bit.
Except for a lot of Swedish people here, we also have one Icelandic youth bowler and some from the Czech Republic. We're also going to see some of the American youth players here, but right now they are in a town about an hour away from here playing one youth tournament which is the same time as this one.
In Odense?
No, this one is in Eslöv.
Eslöv, okay, yeah, that one.
Yes. So there's a few tournaments going around here, but so what's your prediction here? Where it's going to be a certain amount of people making the main finals, but we also have something called the early bird here. So 4 more spots for the first 4 bowlers who doesn't make the cut. And it's super hard to predict any scores this early on, of course. Last year, the cut to make the finals was 13-18 for 6. People were betting that it was going to be a lot higher this year, but I'm not too sure.
I think the field is just as good as last year. I think it would be somewhere around the same cut as last year, maybe a little bit higher. But it also has to do with the weather. The forecast now is that it will be sunny and dry, which is good for scoring in this bowling center. So if the weather stays like it's predicted, I think the score will be higher. If it becomes rain or it will be more, if it starts to rain or so, the humidity rises. It will definitely be low scoring.
Yeah, because when I was watching the first 2 squads, it's a little bit hard to see here on the screen than when you see it live. But everyone that had put a little bit more surface on the ball, I could see that the ball was picking up a little bit earlier than I was expecting it to do on that amount of oil. And what I think is going to happen is that if too many right-handers are moving in when they see that early friction, it's going to be hard to get 6 pair of lanes where it's okay.
Yeah.
You're at least going to get one that's going to be difficult.
Totally agree, and that's how this center plays as well. If the mid lane dries up, it's not going to be easy. So I think that if you can, and maybe that's my bowling game that's talking now, but if you can stay further to the right, in at least in the beginning, I think it will help you in the end, and it will help everybody. If the squad, if the practice session start, if everybody starts to the right, it will help the scoring.
Yeah, and we talked about it before we started here today about. So this is a youth squad, so obviously it's a little bit less experience than maybe comparing them to Peter Hellström who bowled yesterday. We know for sure that he bowled so many tournaments that the whole practice is probably to make the lane as good as possible for him when he's starting the game.
For sure.
But when you go and bowl your first PBA event ever, you might want to use the practice to try to hit the pocket and feel okay about it when the scores begins.
Yeah, and I understand that the youngsters try their A game, because if it works, it's good for them. But I think, as we said, I think that if the entire squad start to practice to the right, it will definitely help the total scores in the squad to rise.
What do we have? So right now, Zacharias had a good start here, and I would say that he's probably also the one on the right side that's trying to stay furthest to the right.
Yeah.
I jinxed him. He has a lot of rev rate, so in order for him to do that, he would have to have a lot of speed, obviously. Otherwise, I would say
it's a tough start.
It's a tough start. It looks kind of messy.
Maybe it's the urethane rule that talks here.
This is also an important rule. The youth here are basically grown up bowling only urethane.
Yeah.
And
maximum power urethane bowling balls
yes.
on more or less any lane condition.
And obviously they have probably prepared a little bit to come to this tournament, and they know that they can't use all of their equipment or like their equipment. So this is also going to be a challenge to probably the knowledge about switching bowling balls and know exactly what the next one is going to do is not 100%. And there's still a few urethane balls that you can use. It's just the hardness has to be the 78.
Yeah, the new 78 rule.
Yes, the IQ 78, the black hammer, is basically the ones that you can use. There's also new pins.
Yeah, the brand new.
pins.
I think
yes.
they put them in on Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday. So
So they're not making it easy. And all of this combined, that's why I'm thinking maybe the scores will not be much higher than last year. But who knows?
that's your opinion.
Yeah.
I think that they are very skilled, the bowlers here, so they will learn, and a lot of them will play 3-4 squads, and I stick with my prediction that the scores will be same as last year or higher if the weather stays, if the weather remains as today.
It's also interesting about the cut score. Maybe there's like me and Martin talked about that a lot when we went to the European Tour before. The more experience you get, the less you focus on the cut score. You just have to stay in the process of making good shots. And if you're a good bowler and you bowl good for 6 games, you're going to make it even if the cut is 120 over or 200 over.
Exactly.
But I think that if you go out with a mindset to think that you need 180 over,
You will not get it.
and the lanes are not there for 180, then it can go pretty south quickly. So I don't know if maybe some of these guys, because it's still the youth squad, what they have in mind, what they're looking for. Right now it feels like the lane is not super easy. So you should probably try to keep it as simple as possible. I also don't think that Peter started very well yesterday. I think he started with 2-0, 2-10 or something like that. And then when the lanes open up, he took advantage of it. So maybe it's also a good...
Focus on surviving the first game.
Yeah. We can see now. See Newells with his backup, his 2 doubles and all his pairs.
It's a solid start.
Yeah. It's also, I think it's, nice. It's also worth to mention only 2 years ago, the Youth World Championship was in this bowling center. And one of our Swedish youth bowlers, Carl Eklund, who is third in the tournament right now, he won the World Championship bowling backup.
It was unheard of then.
It was unheard of. 1 month ago, we went to Korea to bowl the next Youth World Championship, and I counted 8 backup players. 3 of those took medals. On top of that, Noel is doing really well, very often bowling backup. Kevin won on the tour backup, and we also saw it on the tour trials this week. So, is it here to stay? Backup?
I'm sure it is. That's evolution of the game. We see it in many other sports. We see it in snooker with Ronnie O'Sullivan. We've been playing both right hand and left hand for many years, and he is definitely best in the world. So this is development, and unless someone decides to create a rule against it, it will definitely be there, and you need to be able to bowl on both sides to do the best.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of reasons for it. I think for sure the past 5 or 6 years, when urethane started to be more dominant, then obviously the urethane is better on fresh. So the less traffic it is, the better it is. So if you can switch over to go to the other side, it's favorable. So we only have the last frame left here now. Noel had a chance to get to 230, but that didn't really work out.
No.
And we have Kevin a chance to get to 230 also. But
The rest are struggling.
the rest of, I said that this is
But Zacharias is also.
it's going. He has a chance to 230. I also talked to some other people about when this big tournament is on and what could be. Why would a bowler that is a little bit lower than the people that are going to have a chance to win this tournament. Why would they come to bowl? I got that question. And I said that this is probably the best chance you get to go out, try some lanes, experience all the type of problems you're going to have on the lanes. And then you could stay around for the rest of the week and see how the pros will be.
Exactly.
So you could get very good answers on.
You can learn from the best, and you also need to be in this environment with world-class bowlers, because when you bowl next to one of the best in the world, you can't get starstruck. I mean, we all get when we experience that for the first time, but you need to be around the good players and be used to that, so you can focus on your game, and yeah, there's no shortcuts. You have to be here.
Yeah, and many of the younger bowlers in Sweden, they have the PBA as a dream. So obviously, having this chance to bowl with some of them, maybe talk to some of them, the first time you go over to the States, it's not going to be completely unfamiliar for them.
So this is a good start.
Mm. All right, so 220 on Kevin. I don't know how it's holding up. We can see the scores only from this pair now when we're sitting and commentating. So could be that every other pair is averaging 240, but I have a feeling maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
We can also say before the game is over that there are going to be some extra prizes that you sponsor the squad with.
That's true. I am sponsoring this under 21 squad with 10,000 Swedish kronor, and yeah, the story behind it was that I accidentally won a big prize in a golf tournament, and it was a fancy dartboard with internet connection and cameras and everything, and on the prize ceremony I said that I will sell this and give the money to Lucky Larsen's tournament, so yeah, to sponsor the youth sport. And when I got back home, my wife said that you're not selling that, I want it. You can do whatever you want with your sponsorship, go ahead, I don't care, or I don't mind, I would say, I don't mind, but you're not selling the dartboard, so
it turned out not winning anything in that golf tournament.
Yeah, I'm winning.
Yeah.
I'm winning the pleasure of being here and support this wonderful tournament,
yes,
and the sport that have given me so much back in my life.
Yeah, and that's it's very nice, and I'm sure it's very appreciated. And I also feel that it's a very nice initiative to make this youth squad, to make it a little bit more accessible for all the youth bowlers, and maybe also make it a little bit more comfortable environment, that they know that it's a lot of youth bowlers here. It might be a bit scary to show up on Friday completely alone.
Could be, but I think it's really important that we have good under 21 tournaments, because it's a big gap from being a junior under 18 and then suddenly become a senior and bowl against or compete for the national team with the best in the world, in our case in Sweden and some other places.
For sure.
So we have to make that gap as little as possible, or as the transition smooth as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and also right now, to become the best you can be, you probably need to have your eyes on the PBA. That's where the absolutely best bowlers are, where you can learn the most.
Sure.
So we always think that from the Swedish side, we want our bowlers to go to the BBA to learn, to be more complete bowlers, to be more versatile when it comes to national team playing too.
Yeah.
So that was game 1. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
And see you guys in game 3.
slaget i alla fall. Du håller slaget, men det blir 4 kvar. Inget fel på det. Jag bara ramlar alla. är gulligt. Det är ju gulligt. Det var lite uppenbart att han rafsade till. Var vi går!
Alright, so we're back with Matt McNeil this time. Welcome to Sweden.
Hey, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, we're doing some commentary on the youth squad of the Lucky Larsen 2024. We talked a little bit before we came in here. We can see the scoring pace is not super high. Do you have any insight in why you think that's happening?
Definitely, probably some lane play factors there. This pattern is designed to play more outside, and if you try to go more into the middle part of the lane and open up your angles, you're going to open up a lot of problems, as the bowlers are finding out. One of the tough things about being a youth is you're inexperienced, and so this is first squad for the youth here. So normally things that they do historically so far in their young careers is, generally they, for the right-handed two-handers, they move more left, they open up their angles, they try to make it hook more. And on this pattern, that actually just really compounds a lot of your problems. And so they're kind of figuring, we'll see how long it takes them to figure out, and then we'll see maybe if we get a few that go back to the right where the pattern and the lanes are telling you should be playing.
Could we also add in their short careers that it might be also the first time that they are playing with the PBA rules when it comes to taking away some of their more normal equipment?
Yeah.
So that's obviously going to cause some new problems, maybe, that it's the first time they run into.
Yeah, I mean, it's the PBA urethane hardness rule is in effect, so balls have to be manufactured at 78 hardness, and they're using a different set of tools, obviously, than probably they normally compete with, and so that's another thing they have to adapt to and adjust to. But that's what bowling is. It's constant adaptation and constant adjustment.
We talked a little bit about that before too, but maybe we've seen the right side versus the left side, some higher scores on the left side so far. It could also be obviously that left-hand bowlers tend to be more comfortable playing a little bit more to the outside, maybe straighter lines, and we can see here on lane 10 we have Alvin Kvarnström. He is one of our just leaving the youth age, but he's bowling a lot on the European tour and he has very high goals for himself. Two-handed lefty is doing pretty well this squad.
Yeah, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about that. I'm a left-hander, and I can tell you, you know, first arrow, second arrow, and outside of 10, you feel very, very comfortable because often in our lives, our bowling careers, we're relegated to playing that part of the lane. So, you know, using straighter angles, playing outside, being a little more up the back of the ball, you know, really controlling your angles. That's what we're very good at doing because we have to do it all the time. Generally speaking, that's where they put us in play. So, you know, I think if you look at the pattern, the right side, I know the gentleman had some success when he moved to urethane and played, you know, further out. He bowled a lot better last night on the right-hand side. So I think there's a really good shot out there on the right-hand side. It's just the bowlers haven't found it yet. And the left-handers are finding it more naturally because that's just a natural part of the lane we like to play because we're really good at playing there because generally we have to play there.
So what do you think we're going to see when some of the PBA guys show up? Do you think they're going to find it quicker?
Yeah, that's why they're the best in the world. They don't spend a whole lot of a lot of their day playing the lanes the wrong way. How you get to be a very top-level bowler is you identify very quickly what the lanes are asking from you, and you give it to them. Having ego in the sport of bowling is not a good combination because if you try to overpower the lanes or outmatch the lanes, you're not going to win. The lanes are going to win eventually at the end of the day. And so you've got to be very humble and say, what are the lanes asking from me? What do I have to give the lanes in order to be successful? And the guys on tour are very, very good at doing that, and they do it very quickly.
So you've been involved a lot with the tour, both as a bowler rep for Storm and working with Storm products. Would you say it's common? I mean, I've been to the tour quite a lot, watching the Swedish bowlers too. It happens a bit, but in general, I don't see too much bowling outside on the right side on the tour. Unless it's shorter patterns, but they still tend to hook in on shorter patterns.
Yeah, I mean, when you have you know, when you're talking with a two-handed player whose rev rate is 500 plus, okay, it's going to be a pretty rare occurrence when he's going to be able to play up 4, right? Because he can't keep the ball on line, or he or she can't keep the ball on line, just because their rev rate's so strong. The tour guys are able to play in the same vicinity, maybe not right up 4, but they can, you know, they can take some hand out of the ball, they can roll it more, they can do things with their physical game to be able to match up and be in the right zone, okay? I mean, there's a difference between just saying, well, you got to play up 4 versus being in the right zone and creating the right ball reaction. And I think that's what they're very, very good at doing, is they have a lot of physical skill along with the power. And that's, you know, I was actually, before we got in the booth, I was looking at the tour earnings for 2024. And there's a lot of two-handed players on tour, okay? But there was only 6 two-handed players that made over $100,000, okay? So if you look at all the two-handed bowlers in the world, and you had 6 make over $100,000, which that's what I would constitute as a good year, because after you pay, you know, you're going to pay 30-35% tax, You have all your expenses, your entry fees, your travel, your lodging, your rental car, your food, everything, your ball drilling.
And everything is getting expensive in the States.
Yes, it's getting expensive in the world. I had a pint here last night at the Bishop's Arms. It was 79 Swedish crowns. So, everything's getting expensive. So unless you're making over $100,000 a year on tour, you're really not making much. So, and you look at some of those guys that I'm going to talk about, you're talking about Jason Belmonte, Anthony Simonson, Kyle Troop, were the top, Jesper Svensson. Okay, those guys have skills. Okay, it's not just that they're a two-handed player and they got a 500 plus rev rate and they can throw it 19 miles an hour. Yes, they can do that, but they have touch and they have skill and they have versatility. They have a strong mental game. They are very good spare shooters. Okay, they have the complete package, and that's why they're successful. I see a lot of two-handed players that go out on tour and struggle because they have one way of throwing the ball, and that's it. So that's why it's really important for the youth to be able to develop not only their power game. Yes, that's great, but build around that and really set themselves up for success. So that they can take their bowling to whatever level they want to. That's really, really important, and it's hard to do when you get older. Okay, I'm 39 years old. I can't relearn how to bowl. Okay, I spent 30 years learning how to master a different game than the game that's being played now. So for the youth developing, it's really important we teach them those skills so that they can have the option to go out on tour and be successful.
I agree. And one thing that I feel, one of the few things right now where thumb-in bowlers, so to say, maybe have a little bit advantage on two-handers is just, like you said, getting the hand out of the ball a little bit. Not hit it maximum all the time. Like Peter did yesterday, he said, I'm just going to stay to the right. If it hooks too much, I'm just not going to hit it that much. That's pretty difficult as a two-hander. We've been working a little bit on it, and some can do it a bit, but it's most of the time they tend to try to hit it quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a tough skill to learn. It takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, and there's no shortcuts to greatness. I think going to two-handed style definitely puts you on the fast track to being able to compete at a high level in the sport today. 100%. Okay, it took me decades to be able to get good enough to compete on tour. Now you can take a good athletic person, teach them the two-handed game, and in 3 years you can probably physically get them good enough to bowl on tour. Okay, now mentally it's a different concept. Okay, but it's definitely, it'll put you on the fast track. But going back to the versatility part, that's where it takes time. It just, there's no shortcuts to success. It just takes time.
Yeah, and I feel the difficult part for me as the head coach for the Swedish team is at some point the bowler, I can see it in other countries that you decide. You probably see it in the States too. You decide if you want to be a PBA bowler or a national team bowler. Some people want both, but some people are more drawn to one or the other side. And the skill set is quite different. If you go to the tour, you have to be very good on individual stuff, like taking accountability for all your own action, plan your stuff, book everything. You have to go to an environment where everybody is not going to wish that you're doing great.
Yeah.
They're not going to help you.
Yeah.
And then the other part where you have to be in a team and you have to adjust to everything like that. So for us, I try to merge the two passes where I know that, like you said, something is always changing in the environment, causing one thing to be really good, but then maybe 2, 3, 4, or 5 years later, something is happening to change everything. Like now we see, for example, the hardness rule.
Yeah.
It's changing everything.
Yeah.
if you get the bowlers to be so good that they are actually usable on tour, you know that they're going to be usable on anything that they're going to throw at you in the championships.
Yep.
Right now, the hardness rules are not in the championships, so it's still pretty dominated by urethane.
Yep.
But we want to make our bowlers as versatile as possible, so when it actually changes, we don't have to start from zero.
Absolutely. That's the way to look at it. And I think the goal is to create versatility, to set your athletes up for success. I don't feel you're doing your athletes any justice by not setting them up for full potential and full growth. That just, to me, that doesn't make any sense. And that's putting winning first and athletes second. I've always believed that you got to put athletes first and winning second. You put athletes first and winning is going to come. You know, if there's just no reason why you shouldn't be exposing your athletes to all the beautiful parts of the game of bowling.
I think that's a good way to look at it. And I also got the question for Lucky Larsen about why should people that don't have a chance to win prize money or win the tournament, why should they participate in this tournament? And I said something like I can see here now. If you participate and you bowl on these lanes and you experience all the problems that you're having on them and think about what you're trying to do, and then you watch the pros when they get here, then you pretty much can just take out, oh, I should have done this,
Right.
and I should have done this, and I should have done this.
Yeah.
Good. And then when you go home to practice on that, you can be very certain that you're practicing on something useful.
Yeah. Well, you got to compete to get better. You got to bowl around better people to get better. You don't get any better by not challenging yourself and not pushing yourself. You know, it's just like in a workout. You know, if I go to the workout and I only do 10 reps every single time, am I ever going to get stronger? No. The only way to get stronger, you know, if I'm doing bicep curls, is I do 10 one day, and maybe a few days later, as I build up my strength, I'll do 15, and then I do 20, and then I do 25. The same thing is applicable in sports. If you're not pushing yourself, you're not continuing to develop and grow, and you're not going to get any better. So you have to bowl against better bowlers in a competitive setting to get better. And there's humility in that. And okay, it's a tough pill to swallow. You go to a tournament and you put your money up and you have a bad performance. But that's part of being an athlete. I'll tell you what, plenty of times in my career, my name was towards the bottom when I was starting out. But I'll tell you what, as I grew and developed and became a good competitive bowler, one of the better amateur bowlers in the world, my name wasn't at the bottom. It was at the top very consistently. And that's why I'm sitting here. I want to have a job with Storm if I was a bad bowler. You know, we don't hire bad. We're the bowlers company. We want the best to represent us. So, you know, come out and test yourself against the best bowlers, and it's going to pay dividends because you're going to be exposed to a lot of learning situations that will help you move forward in your growth as an athlete. That's why you should come out.
That's good. And well, I'll have you here. It's the PBA now. They have they used to have something similar before, the tour tracks. But that was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I think, the tour track before. So the PBA now, it's looking a little bit different coming up for next year. We already got 12 people during this night in Sweden.
Yep.
We had Kim Bolleby from Sweden making it, and we had Pontus just barely. So that is maybe the toughest tournament in the world to be just outside of the cup because it's life changing. Yeah. What do you think the tour is going to be a little bit different next year when the PTQs are not going to be like having that big of a... It seems to be more of a local thing. It's going to be so few spots, it's going to be hard like a foreigner to go to those.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I think if I was a foreigner, I'm probably looking at the Masters.
Masters, because you can bowl it without PTQ.
Yep.
World Series, maybe applying for
World Series.
international exemption.
Yep. Yeah, those would be the two. I'll tell you what, when I had my card, I just bowled the World Series.
Yeah.
Because it was 4 or 5 tournaments in one, so I had one hotel, one flight, one entry fee, and then I had 4 or 5 chances to make money. And and I had a full-time career then, so I could take a week of vacation, from my job, holiday, and go bowl. And so I think that's a great way for the international folks to come over and test their skills on tour. And then same thing with the Masters. Come over if you want a good gauge of how you stack up against the guys on tour. Come bowl the Masters.
Is it fair to say that if you want to bowl the Masters in Sweden, you will have to wait up in the middle of the night when they open up the sign up?
Yes.
Because if you don't register within 30 seconds as it opens, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it fills
That's
up very fast.
Yeah.
It fills up very, very fast. But once again, it's one of those things that if you want to get better, you got to bowl against better bowlers.
Yeah. And I 100% agree with you. Last year was very fortunate for us because it was connecting. The Masters was connecting with World Series.
Yes.
Which was probably the best option for us. Everyone could go play the Masters,
Yep.
stay either to play the World Series or it was okay to play the PTQ because you were still in the States already.
Yep.
But it's hard to go to play the PTQ only.
Yes, it's a really tough financial decision there. I don't. If I was in their shoes, I'm not sure I would do that. At the end of the day, there's still that business element to it, where it has to make financial sense for you too, because then you bring in a lot of other stressors and things that you don't need. The old saying in America is live to bowl, don't bowl to live. Okay, so don't get yourself in a situation where you're bowling to live. That's just gonna take the joy and the love for the sport or for the game quickly out of your purview, and you're gonna be pretty miserable. I promise. Bowl. Live to bowl. Okay, so it's got to make financial sense too. But I think that's the great part about Lucky Larsen. That's why I love that. I bowled this tournament when it was in Malmo, right?
Yeah.
I bowled it back-to-back years. It was great because, the entry fee is very reasonable. The prize money is very good, top to bottom. You really get something back from making the cut. And if you can go deep on Sunday, you do pretty good. And, Daniel does a phenomenal, Daniel and Martin and Patrick here at Olympia. I mean, just great people. They do such a great job. This is a great venue. It's a great tournament to come out and bowl and test your abilities.
And I hope that by having this big tournament, we can also smooth out the transition a bit from going from just a local bowler to this one to maybe trying the tour and see if you can make it there.
Absolutely, and that's all it is. It's steps. You got to take the steps, and there's no shortcut to success.
It's not. And one thing I have to say too is that all you guys that you're gonna see when you go on tour, it's if you met everyone before, like here you said hello, at least you're gonna see some familiar faces when you go to the States. It can be quite scary to go there.
Yes.
And everyone is pretty focused on their own thing, and I can guarantee it's nice to know a few people. That's why we're trying to go a bit as a group in Sweden.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the talk.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
See you around this week.
Yes, I'll be here.
Done it.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, we are back with the man himself.
The man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the ones not knowing, I'm Martin Larsen, here together with my dear friend and national team captain Robert Anderson.
Yes, and now we're back for the last 2 games of the youth squad of this year's Lucky Larsen tournament. We saw some difficulties in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've been testing this pattern out myself together with Jonas from Kegel. All the knowledge they have, it's even with all the knowledge, it's still a little bit of guessing time to see what the pace will be, how the bowlers will attack the pattern and stuff. But obviously we've seen that it's not a house shot. It's not super easy.
Yeah, I had some talks with other people here about the predicted cut score.
It's always interesting.
It's always interesting. After I saw your video, you and Jonas about the pattern, I was thinking that it's not going to be that much higher than last year. But most of the people have said that they think it's going to be way higher. But seeing 2.5 squads,
Yeah.
I tend to feel like I'm sticking with my guns.
Yeah. Last year was only a couple of pins less than 120 over, I think.
13, 18.
Yeah, on the 46 feet pattern. I would take higher still, but not a lot. My predictions, like even if I tested a pattern and bowled a squad, it's still very, very hard to predict. But my prediction is around 140, maybe 150 over. I think with the field being strong and there's some friction to the right. I think in the end people will figure out what to do. But yeah, I mean, you could be right. I could be wrong. Who knows? We've seen.
It wouldn't be the first time.
No. Oh, well. Yeah, funny guy, this Mr. Anderson. No, I mean, obviously, having the youth squad on here, there is a lot of the kids nowadays are used to bowling a little easier patterns with a lot of urethane. They have less urethane in the bag for this one because we use the PBA rule, and it's a pretty challenging pattern. So we see a little bit of everything, but there's some good ones. We have
The brothers, Kvarnström brothers in the league.
yeah, and you know them pretty well.
I know them pretty well. They're from my hometown.
So maybe you actually taught them a thing or two.
I hope so. You know, they are very, very into bowling. They bowl almost every tournament they've been for a year.
And they have parents that are dedicated bowlers, and the father has been bowling with you since you were a little kid.
Their father was my first coach.
Yeah, there you go.
So we've been
flip-flopping.
And the funny part is that then I coached Alvin, and now Alvin is coaching my daughter.
Ah.
So,
Well, it's kind of a little creepy there.
it's a small town phenomenon.
Yeah, and and then we have Kevin Melin. He's been improving his game a lot lately. Another two-hander that's been, like I said, improving his game the last couple of years. So
yes, and also winning his first tour title on the European Tour.
That's and the way he did it was very impressive. I mean, I know backup is a hot story nowadays, and he was actually using a backup ball on 46 feet in San Marino at the time where there was no lefties doing good. I mean, he was just the lone guy at the left side in the top 5 or top 6 or whatever it was. So and here we can see him. He's bowling normal, like not backing it up.
Yeah.
So there is some talented people here and youth bowlers that could do a lot with the bowling ball.
We've also been talking a little bit about the great benefits of having such a big tournament in Sweden, PBA tournament, and what's happening here now is a great sort of transition towards the PBA for the youth bowlers who have the chance to play a real PBA tournament without having to go to the States the first time. you can play this pattern, you can see what kind of problems you run into, and then later on you can see what the pros are doing.
Yeah.
And then you pretty much get the right answer. You should have done this, and then you can go home and practice on that.
Hopefully they take it that way.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of feelings right now, and they are quite many of them struggling a little bit compared to what they're used to scoring.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for them to take the lesson what's happening here and realize that maybe the first time you bowl a PBA event is not going to be the same time as you're doing your best.
No, I mean some of them will do good, but it's the main thing when we started this 2017. Daniel and Hampus and myself, and then we'll be continuing with Patrick and the crew here. We want to raise the interest of bowling and have the young guys getting more enthusiastic about the game and see their idols and bowl against their idols and grow the game of bowling. And I mean, I don't know if we succeed or not, but I'm very convinced that having a big event is important for sure. It's hard to create to get the money and the time to travel to the States to see the best ones. So I'm glad that you agree on my thinking here. And when we grew up, we had the Super 6 and the Super Series in Sweden. They basically got maybe not all the pros, but the elite of the amateur bowlers at that time in Sweden. And we got to see Tim Mack and Bill Hoffman and those guys coming over, and we bowled them in the national team later. That's I think it's important. I mean, you can see everything on YouTube and stuff like that now, but to actually see them in real and get that feeling that they actually were looking at me, I'm bowling with them, and all those thoughts, it's hard to handle.
It's for sure, and we have had two different experiences about doing almost the same stuff up until you decided that you want to go to the States, and I was never super interested in the PBA tour.
Yeah.
And I can only emphasize that it's a pretty hard environment there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite as it's more competitive than it's back home.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna help you. Nobody's gonna go out of their way to make things easier for you. So getting to know a few people and some familiar faces when you go the first time to the States by seeing them here, maybe that could help a bit.
I think so for sure. I mean, I remember one of the times with my idols, and I bowled first time with Pete Weber on my pair. Like I was more thinking about what Pete is thinking about my game than I was focusing on my game. I mean, nowadays I know he doesn't care whatever I did. Mm-hmm. Another thing we had was a good friend of me nowadays is Mika Koivuniemi, and I stayed at his place for a couple of weeks when we went over to bowl the first World Series. And we always laugh about this because he got over, I think it was in San Marino, I think you remember. It was one of the guys that asked Mika when they were bowling, do you think this lane is tighter? And Mika just go, read your own lane. So that's a little bit what it is on tour, like take care of yourself and you can gather information, but you're not going to get it asking the other guys. You're going to have to look and see what they're doing and translate it to your own game.
Yeah. But thinking about that now, I just realized that you've adapted almost everything from the PBA tour, but we're not doing the double jump.
No, well, I guess some guys are and some not, and we talked about it, but it's just, I think it would be too much
information.
Yeah, for a lot of people to do that. I do have another thing. I don't know if you guys really talked about it, but last year I tried to do a little different thing when it comes to the skipping procedure and the lane movement. So we're actually using a system here now where you bowl the first game and the sixth game on the same pair. And I got up with that idea a bunch of years ago, but I tried it the first time last year and nobody had anything really bad to say about it, so I thought it was pretty good. And the thinking behind it is, when you start bowling and practicing on your pair, the 10 minutes and your first game, you should be aware that you're going to get back to this pair. So whatever you want it to be when you get back there, you're going to try to help develop that pair in a good way, and not the other way around, because some players really like to more or less trash it
Yes,
because they're not going to get back there.
Yeah. I heard rumors that a lot of weird stuff was happening on tour, that you would play the two lanes differently or something to create problem for the people who go there after you.
Yeah, there is everything going on. I'm not necessarily saying that everybody's doing it, but there is a lot of things going on. So, well, at least try to do something about it, and we constantly try to come up with new things. Like this lucky game this year, when we can win a super nice watch. Basically being lucky to strike in the right spots, not needing to shoot 300, but 12 strikes in the right places of the block. So that's another new thing that we're trying, and we have Patrick Bucket who comes up with a lot of ideas, and we take one every now and then. We said no 99 times and yes for the one time. Yeah,
there's also this thing about the name. It's a very interesting name.
Oh, yeah.
How did you figure this name out?
I'm very surprised if you haven't already covered this subject. No,
actually not.
Okay.
I was saving it.
That's good. So I'll let everybody know. We bowled a European Tour stop down in Belgium a bunch of years ago, and in the top 16, I was basically out. I needed all the strikes in 7, 8, 9, and 10th frame, and the German guy I bowled, he needed one mark to shut me out. He goes 9 whiff, I strike, and then he actually missed again. 9 miss. So 3 times in a row, he go 9 miss, and I struck out to beat him. Later that day, I beat Osco in the semifinal and Belmo in the final. So instead of the 650 euro whatever, I got 13,000 euros and an EBT title. And my dear friend here, to the side of me, Robert, he was not very late on the comment that was the most lucky thing I've ever seen. So the Lucky Larsen started, and yeah, I don't know. Do you want any royalties or?
Maybe.
So we have to give Robert this lucky thing though. It was a while ago. I felt lucky on the lanes though. I wonder why.
Yeah, after that, when you got run over by a car and you dropped some glass on your hand, I said maybe the.
Yeah, I felt like I got really lucky there in a way. So maybe I used it all.
Yeah. No, but it's a good name. Okay, so let's see what's happening here now. Noel is doing well. He's at 230, so he's going to be also to inform everyone that there's also 2 extra spots for the youth players.
Yeah.
So even if they don't qualify in the main field, the first 2 youth players will make it anyway.
Exactly.
And on top of that, it's so early on in the tournament, there's also early bird spots.
Yep.
So what happens if a youth player makes it in the early bird spot?
There is a ranking. So you first make it. The first thing is you make it in the top 40. If you don't do that, then it's the early bird.
Okay.
So if you make it in the early bird, that's before the other one. Then comes the plus 50 U21 ladies, and last but not least is the turbo.
Yeah.
So if you make it in the early bird, that's not taking away any of the U21 spots.
So then 2 other youths.
So you can basically say those guys are bowling here, they have a chance to make top 40. If they don't do that, they can make it in the early bird. If they don't do that, they can make it in the U21. If they don't do that, they can shoot a high game in 5 or in game 5 or 6. So
they
that's
can also be a youth girl. Then they can make it there too.
Yep. So plenty of even if they don't have any sticks, no handicap for the ladies here, they still have plenty of different chances to make the cut.
So there's a lot of bowling going on this week. There's a youth tournament in Eslöv, and there's another tournament in Denmark right now.
Yeah.
So pretty soon it's going to be quite a lot of people showing up for the last weekend, so to say. There's a lot of things happening in the middle of the week too.
Yeah.
Some golf tournaments and some. The early bird is actually the first 10 spots.
Yep, 10 spots. So the last early bird squad is Monday afternoon. And right after this squad, Matt McNeil is going to host a mental game seminar with those all the ones that want to do that. We're going to also have some great prizes. Martin Blix is going to take my share pretty soon here, and he's.
Oh, that's a.
That was a rough one. That could be
a turbo game?
Yes, this is game 5. That really could cost him the turbo Oliver. That's he had a 280 coming up, and now he can only get to 260. That's a tough one.
That
Yeah,
was
so
actually the second one. So.
oh, 2 in a row. I missed that. I thought it was the first one. Wow. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a game like that. Well, hopefully we'll forget that and move on.
There's
It
another
could be
turbo
tough.
game.
Yeah, exactly. No, so Wednesday we do a little bit of golf outing in the morning, and we have some fun in the evening with a final of the one lane tournament that we've been running in Sweden, and then we have some trick shots from some of the PBA guys, and then we're gonna have a little house ball challenge too, like a little mini sweeper kind of thing with everybody can enter for free and bowl in house shoes and house balls and stuff. So.
Everyone who's entered the tournament.
Basically, have anybody that's here.
Okay, all right.
Anybody that's here for that evening that entered the bowling center, it could be in that one. So
Yeah. So this is.
so you have a good chance there. You can
All
try.
right. When is it?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Yeah. So no, it's cool to see all the kids on the lanes. We had a terrible morning here with a little incident. One of the pairs had a cord that somehow broke over the night, but now the kids looks to be nice pair.
It's to keep him in the game. Just to get him in the game.
Kevin, for the ones not watching, Kevin Melin had a rough game, but he spared the 210 in the 10th to still have a chance. So a lot of things happening for sure.
Yeah.
And after this squad, me and Martin gonna have some awards to hand out, some Lucky Larsen balls and some gift cards, both for lucky winners and for bowling good this squad. So I'll guess I'm go and prepare that one and see if I can find the squad sponsor to get here and help you out.
We started the first game and we're gonna finish the last game. We're gonna have a little break to find out which pair we're going to focus on and trying to find maybe the leader of the block.
Cool. Yep.
All right.
Thank you guys
so
for
much.
watching.
Thanks. All right, we're back with Martin,
Hello.
who was with us in the first game. He has been outside watching the 4 games in between. What's your general opinion?
There were a lot of confused people in on the lanes in the first 2 games for sure. Now things have settled down a bit, and the top players has found a striking line for sure. And we are now looking at the squad leaders.
1 and 2 tied, and they're brothers.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
that's pretty cool. Yes.
We also mentioned when I talked to the other Martin, who was here previously, that they have the main field to go for top 40, but they also have the early bird, and on top of that, a youth spots. So even it's really hard to predict the cut as it is, it's even more difficult to predict the cuts. What they're trying.
Yeah, when calculating all those variables. Yeah.
Right now, Boson is a 120 over. No, he should be 140 over Concha. So he's a little bit in the lead. That score, I would say, if he would stick to around 140 over, he will make it, I think, somehow.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
But,
So it's still 1 game to go.
yes.
Yeah.
And Alvin is left-handed, 2-handed player, and his brother Wilma is younger and he's right-handed. So both have found good situations there. Working on a strike,
Oops.
kind of look like a urethane ball though.
Okay, yeah. But I'm sure Martin is happy with the thing that both lefties and righties can strike. And now we got Victor Backe striking.
Yeah, he's also
He's
pretty known to this bowling center.
yeah, he should be. He's the son of the center owner, Patrick Backe.
Yes.
And yeah,
Very interesting in bowling himself too.
yes. And he has he has all the possibilities he wants, or he can choose. And I think he can be a good bowler for sure. Was it 20 over?
He is plus 18 over,
Yeah.
which is a great score.
Yeah.
But it is very challenging, and we've been talking before about. I talked to Matthew McNeil about if you look at the pattern of what you're supposed to do, maybe some people, or maybe even the majority of the people in this block, did not do that.
No.
And I asked him if he thought that the pros maybe would figure it out faster, and he thought so.
Yeah, so do I. And for sure, when the pros get here, they will make the lanes easier, and they are better bowlers, so the scores will be higher.
Yes, and probably they will also direct people, so to say. If you before had some different options and you see what the pros are doing, you might just pick that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would do that.
But it would be interesting to see what kind of bowler will do very good at the end. I think we talked about it too. I think the left looks pretty good, but on the other hand, left-handed players are quite more used to playing a bit more to the outside.
They do.
And maybe change their ball speed or the hand to try to play close to their favorite line. While right-handed bowlers maybe are more prone to just move away from somewhere where it doesn't.
We saw that yesterday in the very first squad, that people tried to move left very soon, and it didn't work out well at all.
No.
So people, hopefully they learn from they're watching the streams, and they learn from that. It will also be very interesting to listen to the seminarium after this squad, because I think there are many yeah, these guys need to discuss maybe lane choices and or
But
lines and so on.
it's also without. I don't want to sound negative, but the previous 5 years, at least 3 years, it's been a little bit lost time when it comes to a lot of knowledge about bowling.
Sure.
It's been a lot about a certain bowling ball around 13 at the arrows, and you go from there. I think that this pattern, I don't think the two-handers are going to be as dominated as they used to be, because I think it's pretty good to be able to reduce your rev rate and stay to the right, which is one of the things that is a bit difficult to do as a two-hander, to reduce their rev rate.
Yeah, yeah.
But we will see.
It's still early in the tournament.
Wilmer is doing really well. Yeah, the scoring was trailing. So a little bit more plus for Alvin, so he's close to 150 over, or he's actually at 150 over right now. His brother is 123 on open, so now it's gonna be pretty tight. And
I'm sure they know it.
yeah, fun story is that we're there, have the same home center as where I live.
Okay, yeah.
So we practice quite a lot together, and I sometimes stay in the bowling center, and one of the practices ends up with them bowling each other, and usually ends up with them leaving the bowling center in 2 different times, not talking to each other. So I'm sure they want to beat each other.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's fun. We also talked about, I mean, when we were younger, we played first something called the Junior Masters, or I did.
Yeah, you did.
Then we moved on to fairly big Swedish tournaments. Then it became the Super 6, the Super Series. We had a European tour with maybe 20 stops when it was at the most.
Yeah.
And then you maybe moved on to the biggest tournament, and then you went to the States. So the steps were it was easy to find something in your own category. Now it's a little bit tricky. Now it's like small handicap tournaments, Bowl Master, Lucky Larsen. There's a few more, but it goes pretty quickly up in difficulty level.
Yeah, that's challenging for the sport here in Europe, I would say, that there's no tournaments, or very few.
Yeah. So obviously it's going to be tricky for some people to go to a tournament where you're not quite there yet, but the experience you can get from this will for sure fast forward your learning maybe in all the other tournaments you're going to bowl.
Definitely, and it's a good opportunity, or it's a great opportunity to come and bowl Lucky Larsen.
Yes. And we also talked about one thing that I can see watching a lot of bowling. Almost every tournament there is, I'm watching them. And one thing that really divides really good bowlers, that's how they evaluate their squad. It's easy to play here and then say, I did horrible, and then you go home. But if you really saw what happened here, did the ball hook too early? Was it my swing? Did I grab the ball? When you start to think about what's actually happened, and then you can compare what the pros are doing. I think that the kids that can do that, they are the ones that are going to benefit mostly from this.
Sure. We said when we watched from behind that this is probably the most difficult squad to score high in, because of the variation of bowlers or bowling styles.
Yeah.
So those who shoot 150 over maybe in this squad, they have bowled really good.
Yeah. All right. So 2 more frames. Wilmer on lane 1, starting to read a little bit early.
Mm-hmm. Didn't get the chance, I think.
No. We have some other bowlers. Kevin Melin plus 73.
Mm-hmm.
Anton Westin plus 45. And then Noel, that we talked about the first game, plus 31. Those are good scores, all of them. But they're going to need a pretty high game.
Yeah, but if they do the correct evaluation after this squad, they probably this is a foundation for a better squad next time.
Yeah. There's also turbo now, so you can also qualify by having highest 5th game or 6th game of all the bowlers not making it. So even if all the bowlers who doesn't have a good score now, they could still go for that one. So there's quite a few ways to make the final here.
There is. I thought I'm lacking some female bowlers in the start list here. When we look at how the lanes play, I mean, if I was a good female bowler, I would definitely try, because clearly you can bowl from outside.
Especially a squad like this, when a lot of the guys move in too quickly, they're going to leave the outside pretty undisturbed for you. So I would also say that I know that 2 bowlers from the Swedish national team, Nora and Anna, who is bowling a lot of tournaments, they're in Odense right now.
Okay.
To play but they are also located here in Helsingborg, so they can bowl Monday and Tuesday here. So they decided to go and bowl the small European tour.
They want to play as much as possible.
Yeah. That's also why we don't see Carl Eklund in this one.
Okay.
He went here the day before to try to qualify to be able to go to.
He bowled 2 squad yesterday, I think.
And moved on to go to Denmark. Oof. All right, that was pretty unfortunate. If he would have struck there, he would be going for 1350, but he can still get to 1338. I would still think that's a good score. If I would have to bet on it, I think it's going to make it in the top 40, but with all those bonus chances...
Yeah, he will get one of them.
He should get one of them, yeah. And it's also quite difficult, this cut for early bird. With 10 squads, I think the score should be so compact that it's fairly similar. But if it's just a few ones, it could be that you can qualify with a pretty low score if you're lucky enough that everyone who beats you beats you
makes
with a
the
lot.
cut. Yeah.
So I remember being in that position where you go hoping somebody's going to do bad until you're really hoping he's going to do good. All right.
Okay.
So 99 over is still possible for Wilmer. That's a score that is a little bit more doubtful if it's going to work.
Yeah.
We don't know what Kevin is doing the last game either, but see. Still, of course, if Wilmer gets to 99 over, he might be a little bit disappointed, but on the other hand, he should be pretty proud of bowling 100 over on these lane conditions. That's very
definitely it's really good.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say that to him directly after the squad.
I will wait a little bit with that. He's probably going to bowl again today. They bowl a lot. Tomorrow it's the finals in the youth tournament in Eslöv that they're going to bowl. And then he's coming back for the next weekend. So. School has started here, so we might not see too many youth bowlers Monday, Tuesday, but I'm sure
there are some evening squads, isn't there?
There's some evening squads maybe for the local ones, but everyone who is located a little bit further away from here probably needs to go home to school for the weekdays, and maybe they come back on Friday.
So 1338.
1338.
1295.
Now we talked a bit about the cut score with Martin, and my interpretation was that he thinks it's going to be still higher than last year, but he's not as convinced that it's going to be as high as he thought from the beginning.
No.
But it's been an interesting squad to see. If I would say something, it looked a little bit similar like the first squad yesterday when everyone moved into the right a little bit too quick to make.
Yeah.
Both for themselves to make a high enough score in the beginning, but also to set the lane up. Felix Müller can get to 32 over here, lane 2, which is probably not going to make it, but it's still a good score. And many of these youth bowlers, they are going for different kind of positions in the Swedish. They try to make Team Sweden Youth Academy, or they're trying to make the youth national team, they're trying to make the junior national team. So even if they don't make the finals here, one, that they showed up to this tournament, you know that they are invested. And two, if they still make a fairly decent score, then you know that.
So this tournament is the most important for them, or one of them, or for some, for sure.
Yeah, I would say that we have also youth tournaments here. Like the one in Eslöv is a European youth tournament, and we have our own 4 youth tournament.
Yeah.
Those are important at one point, but when you start to maybe the junior team, it's under 18. If you're going for the youth team, you should show up here for sure to be able to. So it's a little bit different rules, but for sure for the.
Every shot counts in the total.
Every shot counts, and also I get the question sometimes from people like, is it important for the national team to play this in this tournament? And my answer is always that I can't say anything, because if 4 youth bowlers goes to that tournament and they do really well, I'm not gonna ignore it because I said it wasn't important. So it all depends what people are doing. And I would say Sweden is pretty strong right now when it comes to bowling, both result-wise the past 5 years, and also fairly good amount of people.
And the younger bowlers are really good.
They're good
at the moment.
Yeah, they're very good at what they're good at.
Yeah, but that's what they do.
Yes, and there's always the saying about that you become a product of your own environment, and it's pretty clear what kind of environment we've had.
Yeah,
and this is maybe stepping a little bit out of that. So I'm hoping that we're going to see reflections on this, and I hope more people are going to think about what they need to do to be more competitive in these kind of environments. All right, thank you so much for talking during this block, and hope to see everyone sticking around watching more squads on the Lucky Larsen 2024.
See you.
Bye.
Okay. So, despite our little delayment here in the morning, I would give a big hand out to the 39 bowlers who actually managed to bowl pretty quick. So I don't think we're actually going to have any delays. Maybe a couple of minutes, but I think we are in good time. So thanks for the pace of play to this whole squad of the U21 bowlers. So we're going to have a little bit of a prize ceremony here. I think we start with the girls. We had 1,000 Swedish krona gift card, which could be used as entries or buying any of the Lucky Larsen merch there. And that was won by Nicole Larus. Hand out by the sponsor, Martin Blix. Congratulations. We have exactly the same price, 1,000 kronor gift card to the squad winner, 1338 on Alvin Kvarnström. It seems like that Kvarnström family is pretty good at bowling. I talked to Robert before in the commentary booth. He says there's some reason they have a good coach. I don't know if that's true. But the high game of the block was Alvin's brother, Wilmer, on 268. He's winning one of the blue and yellow beautiful bowling balls. Yeah. Then we have one more lucky winner of a bowling ball, and the random winner was the bowler that picked the ball 12B. So who had the 12B when they... Wow, it seems like he's going to have another ball to take home. We have two more gift cards for 1,000 each, lucky winners. And the first lucky winner of 1,000 kronor gift card had 19A this morning when they picked the ball. Who had 19A? Okay. I think he knows. It's coming over. Big hand. Congratulations. And the last lucky winner of 1,000 krona gift card had 12A this morning. You both were Lucky Larsen Masters, so you were lucky enough. Okay. I would love you to give a big hand to the sponsor of the sport, Martin Blix. Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the challenge. We have one great thing left for all the ones that want to go to Matt's seminar here at 1 o'clock. Please gather in the entrance, like in this, just before you get into the bowling center. Not outside the bowling center, but just outside the actual door to the bowling center. And we'll walk over to the conference room at 1 o'clock. So you have some time to get some lunch and settle down, and there's going to be like a 45-50 minute seminar hosted by Matt McNeil from Storm Products. Did I forget anything, Martin? I don't think so. Thank you very much for showing up here, and best of luck for the rest of the tournament and in Eslöv for the ones following the youth event in Eslöv. Thank you very much. Perfekt, då sitter jag då här. Den här var jag också. Klockgrejen. Ja, det var kul. Ja, det är det i andra hallen. Jaha, jag förstår att det var någonting.
Det är B-hallen, färdigt vi. Ja, jag ska hålla koll på dig. De lovar.